drops or something like that. I would say a good spot is over here. This is a decent spot. It's not really a spot considering the positions that Terran will drop us in, and our tech will most likely be in safe hands. So warp in, warp in, warp in. Make sure our probes are in production. Probes are in production. Get pylons. 2 pylons per. Get a... keep producing out of tech buildings. Make sure your rope was pumping. Make sure your upgrades are going. Right now I don't have any forge yet, but as soon as they do pop up, I will make sure to get those upgrades. Alright, get our upgrades going. Make sure our probes are going. Alright, and start pumping some more units. So okay, keep looking around. See what we can see. Warp in, warp in, warp in. Make our probes. Get our pylons.
Oh my gosh, I'm so terrible. Don't watch this.
Probes.
Never watch this.
Don't watch this. Chrono boost as we can. Out of energy at the moment. Warp in. Get our army on map, be active. So we see the Terran's pushing out. Getting a 3rd command center.
I don't even have stem. Holy crap.
You should get stem. It's a good ability. Alright. So we just got our Colossus, we're getting another one in production. And now we need to be thinking about adding more pylons.
Oh, balls, he has Colossi.
Set up one over here. Notice how my pylons are getting into position now. It's okay if Terran snipes 1 or 2 of these, or doing a drop and one of them gets sniped, it's fine. Because of the fact that I'd rather lose a pylon with a Terran drop than my entire Nexus and all the probes along with it. So we see Terran armies moving out to the Zanaga Tower, getting an idea of it, checking his upgrades.
Which I don't have any of because I'm horrible.
Irrelevant, but so as soon as this one Colossus pops up in production, I'm always thinking to myself, what are my pylons? Because Colossus costs so much supply. So every time one Colossus pops out, I'm like, pylons, I need them. So I always tend to add pylons as my Colossus pops out. All right, so we're about this time in the game, you don't want to make any more probes. Once you have 3 bases of saturation, which I do. So I'm gonna cut probes now. Continue with my warp-ins, but I'm going to add additional production now that I have my 3rd base saturated. We can add a couple more gateways now. Let's add another 5 gates. At the same time, we're going to be chrono boosting our upgrades. We're going to be adding additional tech structure. Let's go with a... we can expand our tech to whatever we would like to. We can... Terran hasn't lifted off his 3rd yet, so we know that we should be ahead in the economy lead.
What you think is my 3rd?
At least I think it's his 3rd.
Yeah.
So we'll check around for a head and 3rd, maybe he has one on the top left. Didn't check, but maybe he does. Okay, so he does have a 3rd base at the top left. It's actually not close to saturated though, which that's a good thing. Only has about 10 SCVs mining. Actually 9.
It looks like more than that to me.
Oh, they're getting
Here, I'll drop like 3 mules. I think that counts as saturated now.
That's saturated now. Okay, now he drops some mules. He's saturated now. Alright, so we're gonna warp in. Gonna get our gateways. Hockey that to your gateway hockey. Now I make it 0. So now that we have our... This is kind of like a front. Now you'll see that I'm starting to set up a concave. These pylons are going to be important because this is going to be my reinforcement pylons. So I'm going to start setting up a couple cannons so I have a front. I can fight on this front because it's going to be defensive perimeter. We see Terran scanning. Now I'm going to re-concave to match his position. Now I've reconcaved because I see that his position has changed on the map. So instead of facing toward the Zanaga Tower, now we're facing toward the 2 o'clock. Alright, so we'll go to work on him. Plug our stalwarts forward. Target some medevacs if we can. Warp in, warp in, warp in. Get our Colossus in production at the same time. Again, we're gonna get our some Guardian Shields up. Close out some crystals if we can. Mark up the Colossus. And blink. Get the Protoss OP. Look at the Vikings too. And once we
I don't even know how I fail as Terran.
Transfer to your 4th. But basically, if you look at where my pylons are set up, you didn't do any drops, by the way.
I know, because I tried to, and then I had it hotkeyed with my army, and then it went back to my army. The thought was there. Don't count on me to be a good Terran.
That's fine. But as we can see, I have at least one double up between my majority of my buildings. I have my gateways, I have my upgrades, my forge, my council. I also have a good amount of pylons powering my robotics. I have enough pylons on my map to give me full vision of my main. There's no gray area where he can do a drop and I don't see it, and then he stims in. Like maybe this corner over here, some players leave in the dark and the Terran drops and then you don't see it, and then he's fully dropped off and then he just stims, and that's bad. In addition to that, I also have some pylons set up at the 12 o'clock. So I can see if he's doing, say Terran's going to do one drop here, goes up around the map and comes this way. I'm going to miss the first one with this pylon, but this one's going to catch it. Same thing here. I'm going to miss, say he's going to come down this trajectory, then I'm going to have this pylon catch it. Or this middle. I have a middle pylon, I have a low pylon, and I have a high pylon. Same thing over here. I have one over here. I have one over here to warp in at this front. So say when I was attacking Terran, I got to warp in behind him and went for a flank. See how that works? Because his army was over here before, and now I could already get a flank off. It works magic. It's beautiful when you could say, oh, that pylon I warped in at the 2-minute mark is actually having use at the 27-minute mark now. It's great. And again, we saw I have a little bit of front here, so I have some cannons. I have multiple pylons powering these. It helps me defend, and I can fight a little bit easier on this front. I have a couple useless pylons. It's a little too many here at my natural. Maybe too many. Probably keep 3 of them, but the other 2 I probably would have elsewhere. Maybe I could put these 2 pylons over here powering these gateways. I only have 1 pylon over here powering these 5. I do have this one over here also looking at the rocks, seeing if there's anything breaking these rocks, if I have something to worry about. I have 1 defensive pylon. I can put some cannons over here, defending against any Terran drops. Same thing down here. Mutalisk coming, Terran drops, whatever the case is. And that's kind of how you want to play. You want to be very conscious of your pylons. You don't ever want to get supply blocked. You need to be thinking as you're warping in, make pylons, and make sure you place them properly. Don't just put them wherever you feel like. There's always a rhyme and a reason for pylons. I always tell myself, at least. So, when it's in your mind of I need pylons, unless it's like, no shit, I'm supply blocked, just drop a pylon. Because at that point, you kind of have to. If you're conscious enough, there's a lot of reward to your pylons. Then you can say, oh, now that I'm not supply blocked, but I do need a pylon, where would I like to place this pylon? And then from there, you can get the rewards of being a good player. And that's my bit on pylons. Jay Shore.
I couldn't see what you were doing. I was more concentrating on the fact that for as often as I complain about Terran, I was playing horribly as Terran. But listen to what this guy has to say, because he knows what he's doing.
Good enough. I didn't know that you were playing Terran. Weren't keeping up. I was really wanting to see you do some drops so you could say, I could have said, like, oh, look, he's doing it.
Yeah, but I mean, you know how it is. You ask me to do one thing, and I do everything except that one thing.
Okay, sure. I just want you to do a drop, and then you did you got Vikings, you had Marauders, you had 4 bases, you got everything in the game. You almost had battle cruisers, but you did do a drop. You had medevacs too.
Oh yeah, I had the MMM, but I did not have Ghosts, which was surprising.
You just don't know how to. You don't know how to. You almost won the game in the beginning when you did that push. No, not really, but just kidding. Close to it.
Yep.
We see pylons used all the time, and when you're trying to hide text, say you're trying to proxy Stargate and a 3-gate void ray all in against Terran, you'll have a pylon hiding somewhere, and you'll drop down a text structure or drop down something you don't want. You don't want someone to scout or scan. That's going to be used with a pylon hidden outside of your base, of course. That's one area of expertise that pylons have outside of your base to warp in. Unlike Zerg, where unless they have the lair, they kind of need to put down their buildings in their base, so it kind of makes it a little bit easier. Terran also have the luxury of being able to put their buildings wherever they feel like. They can also lift off. So the Terran have probably the best utility out of placing their buildings outside of their base, because if it doesn't work out, just lift off and go back to your main. No problem. Easy peasy. Terran GG. Alright.
That's a very rewarding feeling. Yeah. Terran GG's.
Alright, and I think that's going to wrap this up. Make that our time quota. Awesome. Any last bits of information?
I complain far too much about races that I can't play well. That's all I got.
Fair enough. Well, you got to remember, you're playing me. If you were playing in Plat, that attack probably would have won.
Probably.
It probably would have won. But, yeah. I try not to lose against Terran. So,
You've been working it out pretty well.
Yeah. Well, and I have to do the same versus Zerg. Gotta work against those Mutalisk.
You can get it eventually.
Soon. I'm actually working on a new build right after this. So,
Ooh.
I actually need your help, by the way, J-Shore, if you're free.
Oh, gosh.
Awesome. Okay. Alright. I will see you guys next time. Our next topic for episode 6 is pending, but I think right now, what are we doing? We're going to be, right now I have it as...
How about if you come up with that Mutalisk build order, how to deal with Mutalisks?
Oh, there we go. Fair enough. If I come up with the PvZ build order, we could go over that. Protons versus Zerg build order. Strategy. How not to suck in PvZ. With yours truly, and J-Shore.